next week, a celebration that marks the successful journey of Kenya's monetary policies, and in the last few years, however, this has been tested to its core. How has it survived the times, and what is the future of the central bank? Central Bank Deputy Governor Sheila Mbijiwe joins us now on the show for that, and also, of course, what's top of mind for Kenyans today. And I'd like us to start with that. Ms. Mbijiwe, thank you so much for making time to be on the show tonight. Of course, we know the central bank, at least through the governors, being very critical in the beginning, saying Kenya is not ready for interest rates, or we shouldn't go, interest rate capping, or that is not the direction that Kenya should go. Just to set pace, where does the central bank stand in regards to that today?
Firstly, good evening, everyone. I think that when we look at the issue of capping, the central bank has been quite clear that we don't believe that controls are necessarily the right way to deal with this type of issue. However, we can also say that Kenya has entered a middle-income status, and when you look at middle-income countries and you look at the spread between the deposit rate and the lending rate, our spread of 11% is much higher than you would see in other countries. So there is a journey to be had. The law is in place, and we are a government body. We will implement and respond to the law as it has been.
Talking of implementation, the issue of KBRR and CBR and what is the right rate, for the banks to price their loans against. And there was a Twitter that was pulled down eventually by the CBK. I know you have just told me that it is in court now, but can you give us any clarification of where that will head?
I'm afraid at this stage I wouldn't be able to. The matter is in court, and it's sub judice, so I would prefer not to comment
on that issue. All right, let's get into CBK at 50, and I do know that the Central Bank of Kenya has been praised, especially amongst its peers and even some of the banks that are central banks that are considered to be a slightly higher level, and it has been praised for what it has done so far. Tell us just a little bit about the highlights and what you'll be celebrating next week.
Firstly, I'd like to say that the Central Bank of Kenya has been built over 50 years with a lot of work, and some people have done some amazing jobs within the Central Bank. I think if you look at 2015, we were named Central Bank of Africa. We are also got the governor who's the best governor in Africa this year. We look at the mobile money story. You look at the fact that the banking sector in Kenya is a key financial determinant of this area. I think we have 6 banks across Africa. South Africa has 3 banks. Nigeria has 9. And we're the only 3 sub-Saharan countries that have our banks spreading across the African continent. We drive, the financial sector drives a lot of Kenya's growth. So we look to all of those successes, and we know that the central bank has been the regulator of this sector over the last 50 years, and a lot has been done. I think there's a lot of emphasis on what goes wrong, and of course what goes wrong is very important and needs that focus. It hurts a lot of Kenyans. We need to be sure that in the future we manage it better. And that's the journey that we're really on. When we look at CBK at 50, I think it's a very exciting time. We've participated in the music festival. We sponsored it. That touched 6 million children across Kenya. We had 300,000 children in Kenya, in Nairobi, participating in the finals. We spent the day at State House, where the finalists were able to present themselves to the president. We have a symposium, which is kind of the science of central banking, long discussions, a whole day of academic discussions. And we also have what we call the EPIC event, which will be at the museum on the 14th of September. And at that we will present the coins of Kenya.
Talking about the coins, I understand there's a gold coin to commemorate CBK at 50.
I would like to say it's gold-plated.
It's gold-plated.
It's gold-plated. We're not quite rich enough, but yes, it's a commemorative coin, and it, you know, in the future.
So I cannot buy anything with it, can I?
No, you cannot. No.
All right, we're about to wind up, but I just want to ask you a question about the current state of the banking sector. Of course, last year was a tough year for the country, but we know the central bank has been very categorical that it is not a banking sector issue. What would you say the current state of banking is?
I think that if you look at 27, 28, what you saw was the global financial crisis. We've since had, obviously, 3 institutions that have been managed by the central bank. We've had Brexit. We now have the interest rate bill act that's come in. So if you talk to the resilience of the Kenyan banks, I think that's a statement in itself.
As we wind up, tell us a little bit about the people. When we see the central bank, we see that large building. We know the governor, and now we know you as well. Who are the people behind the central bank?
The central bank is the most amazing place and very special. You've never seen such an array of people. We've got economists, accountants, lawyers, security. I mean, almost anything you can imagine is in the central bank. Many of the staff there have been with the central bank for many, many years. Very dedicated, very committed to their organization. And really, we should all, as Kenya, thank them for the work that they've done.
All right. Thank you so much.